popular ex-Yugi-tuber Kamina once said in a video that Yu-Gi-Oh! As a medium on YouTube is both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because if you have nothing else to talk about, at the very least, Yu-Gi-Oh! Brings in some audience, and you can make deck profiles and duel videos that might have gotten you more recognition than if you had just started vlogging about your daily life. The curse part is that it's very difficult to become a really big channel if you're focusing on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pretty much every other card game is going to be more popular on YouTube for whatever reason, especially with the bigger channels. If you look at like Hearthstone especially, there are tons of huge YouTubing channels. For Yu-Gi-Oh! Not so much. Actually, there's only 4 channels, well now 5, that have ever hit over 100,000 subscribers. The biggest is Simply Unlucky, and then there's Cyberknight, who both of those people still post regularly. There's also Galactic God, who no longer posts, and Asian Eyes White Dragon's original channel, which then is now converted to like a drama channel, and he made a second channel about Yu-Gi-Oh! That now does not have 100,000 subscribers. So it's really just those 4, 2 of which post still, and now TeamSamuraiX1. Now, if you haven't been keeping up on subscriber growth rates, like maybe I have, there's 2 breakout stories from 2017 in terms of Yu-Gi tubers. The first is Simo, and the second is Team Samurai. Both of these channels have doubled their sub count in 1 year, and doubling your sub count when you have over 10,000 subscribers is much more impressive than when you double it when you have like 500 subscribers to 1,000. But Team SamuraiX1 started off 2017 with just over 50,000 subscribers, and just yesterday, I believe, maybe 2 days ago, depending on when I post this, he passed 100,000 subscribers, being the 5th Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel to ever accomplish that. Now, I can't stress enough how difficult this is to do in Yu-Gi tubing. There are a lot of big channels that fall in the 50k to 70k range and then flatline. That is so popular, it is almost a cliche at this point. There are so many different 50k to 70k channels that were popular a long time ago and now have that sort of big channel look, but just aren't getting a lot of views anymore, and they aren't seeing any growth. Team SamuraiX1 is also unique because he's the first new age Yu-Gi tuber to hit that mark. The previous 4 people I mentioned were all quite popular around 2010 to 2013-ish, and that's really when Team Samurai initially started posting videos with 2013. At least that's what his Social Blade account shows, and that's when he started to see the initial growth for his channel. So Team SamuraiX1, this is a big deal. I'd imagine it's a big deal for him, but it's just a big deal for Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. As more channels get watched, it actually just boosts all the other channels. So this is good. Whether or not you like him or hate him, this is really important for Yu-Gi tubing as a whole. And today, I wanted to analyze why he has 100,000 subscribers. How did he get there? What are the things that he did that are different from other people? These are the things that I want to be looking at, and I think this falls right into the recent video that I made where I quote-unquote roasted my subscribers' channels, where I went through different people that wanted their channels looked at and gave them tips, because a lot of the people I felt like weren't doing these types of things. So if you're interested in growing your channel, this is a good video to see what you could be doing differently. Now, I have to address the elephant in the room that I think a lot of people are probably going to comment before they even get this far into the video, and that is, yes, his titles can be a bit eccentric. They're in all caps, they all say best at the beginning, and they're all, I mean, yeah, they're shouting at you, basically. And I know that a lot of you, and probably the top comment on this video will honestly be probably like, best Team SamuraiX1 analysis, exclamation point, exclamation point. And that's fine, I get the memes. But it's not that easy. You can't just put best in the title and get views. And the perfect example of this is if you go watch that video where I'm going through subscribers' channels, or if you were there for the live stream where I even went through a lot of their videos. A lot of them are trying to copy this and put best in their titles and make it all caps. And guess what? It's not working. And even for the bigger channels that have tried this out, and plenty of them have, it just doesn't work unless you're Team Samurai X1. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. But first of all, I want to address why he did that in the first place. It might seem like a commonplace thing at this point, but when he started doing it, and he really was the pioneer of that style, he was the only one doing it. And the reason it works, if you just need a brief explanation, is because when you Google Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile and then like the name of the theme, what are you going to click on when the search results come up? If there's like 5 results and they're all normal titled, but then you have a 6th result that is all caps and it says best deck profile, subconsciously you might decide to click on that one, not only because it grabbed your attention, but because maybe if you're looking at 6 different profiles and you're like, well, which one should I click on that'll give me the best result? You want to click on the quote unquote best deck profile, and they might not always be the absolute best ones, but when it comes down to looking at other deck profiles, most likely you're going to click the one that's best, because I know one of the most disappointing things when you're looking for a deck list is to click on a profile and halfway through realize that it's really crappy. And that brings me to my next point at why the best in the titles and the titles themselves work well for Team Samurai and not for other people, and that is watch time. So I don't know if you guys actually YouTube, but the most important thing right now is watch time. The watch time on your videos affects how much you get paid and how much you get promoted. This was YouTube's way of sort of making people not clickbait anymore. You don't want to, if someone clicks a video expecting one thing and then gets another thing, and then they click away, YouTube doesn't promote that video anymore. They recognize that it's clickbait. So watch time is what's really crucial here. Now, I can almost with absolute certainty say that Team Samurai X1's watch time is probably off the charts. His videos themselves are decently long. Obviously, they're going to be over 10 minutes. He's not stupid. But I would assume, especially with how much his decks get promoted, I mean, just Google Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profiles. He's like the #1 result. His watch time is probably insane. Now, that's good for him. It gets him more money and more exposure, which grows his subscriber base, and then it just loops around till he keeps getting more money, more exposure, more views, more subscribers, and then he grows faster and faster. And that's why we're sort of at this compounding moment when he gains 50,000 subscribers in 1 year, which is insane. The other thing with that is that his deck profiles aren't crap. I mean, the camera quality is really good. The builds themselves, maybe not the top tier, most competitive, but they're really good starting points for people that don't know what they're doing. And also, he has every single deck available, apparently. Obviously, he can do this because he's making so much off the deck profiles. I know even me as a smaller channel that I have bought cards specifically for deck profiles knowing that it will make the money back on the cards from the profile, and that's why he can get all these cards like day one. I mean, I mentioned in the Forbidden and Limitless video that it's really important, like sneak peek weekend and Forbidden and Limitless announcement days, to have those deck profiles up before anyone else. And if you have the resources to do that every single time there's a sneak peek, you can instantly make all the deck profiles. You're obviously going to get a lot of exposure because no one else is posting those deck profiles, because it's impossible for them to do it without spending a ton of money, which they're not going to make back, where you might. So by having all the decks available, he has sort of just a library of profiles, and you guys might think that, so when you look at some channels, like let's take House of Champs for an example, all of the videos pretty much are topical. The majority of their views are going to be gotten within like the first 2 days because they're news related. But if you look at a channel like Team Samurai X1, his old videos are going to get a ton of views. Let's say, I mean, he has a lot of Dark Magician deck profiles, right? So anytime a new Dark Magician card is announced, they're going to search Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Magician deck profile, and all of his old profiles are going to show up as well as his new one. So those cards are getting legacy views anytime that those decks get new support. And because he makes so many deck profiles for so many different decks, he has a really, I mean, he's sort of cast a wide net here where there's so many different decks that can get support that then he'll get more promotion, and that's really good for his channel, because I know that you might think that the majority of YouTubers are making their money from their most recent video or the most recent series of videos, but actually a good portion for most channels of their ad revenue is from older videos. If you look at any given day, for me personally, and I post daily, so obviously I have a lot of new content to look at, I'd say about 70% of it is going to be from that day's videos, but 30% of it, and that's quite a bit of money, is just a bunch of different videos getting anywhere from 30 cents to $1 each. And that might not seem like a ton, but when you're compounding that over hundreds of videos every single day, it definitely adds up, and those views matter. TeamSamuraiX1 is unique. He is one of the few deck profile channels around anymore. I like to talk about Yu-Gi tubing in waves. The first wave seemed to be pro player duels and deck profiles. Then we got really big into pack opening. Then we got into deck profiles. But now most of the big channels, our channels like mine or John's or Simo's, are ones that are doing discussion videos. So it is really interesting to me that Team Samurai is able to take deck profiles and display them not only to competitive players or slightly better than average players, but also casual players, because I mean, when it comes down to it, casual players are what makes your channel big. Whether you like it or not, there just really isn't a market for competitive players. So usually that's why pack opening channels or replay channels like Asian Eyes White Dragon or Mega Capital G, that's why those channels are so popular, is because they appeal to casual players. So the fact that you can take deck profiles, which in and of themselves, especially because Team Samurai isn't taking, he isn't holding back in order to appeal to the casuals. He's not playing really crappy builds of something just to not offend anyone. He's not cutting like Pot of Desires from his deck just to appease to the casuals. It's really cool that he's been able to grow his channel in that department, despite maybe not using conventional means of appealing to that demographic. I think that's really interesting. I'm not sure if anyone else has really been able to capture that, except probably Simo, who obviously has a huge following, and I might do another video on him depending on how this one's received. But Simo also has doubled his sub count in 1 year, and will likely, I don't think I'm making a super big stretch here when I say that Simo will likely be the next 100,000K channel. Not to offend anyone, there are plenty of good channels, but just looking at growth charts, he's the fastest growing besides Team Samurai. But anyway, I think that pretty much wraps up my analysis. Hopefully you learned something from this video. Even if you don't like Team Samurai, you have to admire how well he's doing for himself. It is quite impressive, especially from someone like me or any other YouTuber, looking at what he's doing and how to apply it to yourself. I think the big takeaway here is that you want to appease to markets in ways that no one else has done before. And that's really what he did, and that's why it continues to grow, why he's so big already, and why I think that he'll have a really strong future in becoming possibly one of the biggest Yu-Gi tubing channels of all time. I don't think anyone's going to be able to pass Simply Unlucky for a long time, but I think he can come pretty darn close. Anyway, I will see you guys later. Bye.